Welcome to Living on the Fly. This is more than just a show about how to catch fish on the fly. It's a journey of two friends from very different backgrounds. We invite you to be a part of the fun and to embrace the living on the fly way of life.
This is my friend, Guy Murray, entrepreneur, life coach, and passionate fly fisher.
This is my friend George Daniel, two-time national fly fishing champion. Follow us as we break loose from our daily fly fishing routine on spontaneous trips to experience our dream of living on the fly. I'm Guy Murray.
And I'm George Daniel.
And we're living on the fly. So every morning I get up and I go downstairs. I get up before dawn and about a half hour before my son Blake. And I make my pot of coffee and I go over and I sit in my chair, I get out my laptop, I start responding to emails.
My typical morning is pretty simple. I wake up, I usually get a good strong cup of coffee, espresso style, and craziness breaks out. I have a great wife and two beautiful children, 5 and 3, Evangeline and Logan, and my wife Amity. We get the kids ready, head them off to school.
I wait for him to come down in his uniform and I get dressed because I know I have to get out. And I drive him to school every morning. I like to spend that time with him and talk to him.
And then I drop my wife off to work. We usually carpool to work. So I drop my wife off at work early in the morning around 8.
But after I drop him off, school starts at 8:05. After I drop him off every morning, I go down to Fisherman's Paradise. And maybe not every morning, but a lot of mornings.
And then that gives me an opportunity every morning to go to Fisherman's Paradise, which is a section of Spring Creek. And along that bank, I usually get to fish for about 40-45 minutes, solid every day, for almost 300 days a year before I head to work. And every morning when I go there, it's almost a guarantee that at some point I'm going to see a black Lincoln drive by, honk the horn, and I'll see this window roll down with a puff of smoke come out of the window at 8:30 in the morning, and I'm going to see a beautiful guy's face looking at me smiling.
You know, it's inevitable that I'm going to see George down at Fisherman's Paradise. Either I've gotten there before him and I see him pull in, or I'll come back out and I'll see him on the stream, or we meet up and we fish together. It's like a little mini lesson every morning. If I watch him, I can check what flies he's using and what techniques are working. And then, we go our separate ways. I've got work that needs to be done. He's got to get to the shop to run the show there. And it's just become a morning ritual, and it's a great way to start a day. And I mean, that's how this is, living on the fly. That's how this came to be. Living on the fly. We get down there, it's like, what do you want to do? So fishing-wise, George and I are a little different. George is, two-time national champ, and he has all kinds of accolades at fly fishing, did it in competition. He's got a huge resume for fly fishing. I kind of picked it up from a buddy and just got into it and kind of fell in love with it. He's a very humble guy. He's a very even guy. He's sort of the anti-guy. And I'm a guy who caught his first fish by accident and was in the shop telling George I'm a better fly fisherman. So I go in and remind him all the time that I'm the world's greatest fly fisherman. Of course, it's tongue-in-cheek. I don't have those accolades. Wait, I think my phone's ringing, George. Hello? Team USA? Sure, I'm available. I'm all over the place, and I like to play the braggadocious role and kind of rub it in when I'm doing well. So we have two very different personalities and very different experiences with fly fishing. But fly fishing, it brings us together, and it's made a friend of George for me, and it's spectacular fishing, and it's really been very rewarding personally. Living on the Fly, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Living on the Fly.
Well, we are on the South Holston in eastern Tennessee, and we're just getting loaded up, getting the boats ready to get in the water. We got some water generating right now, and hoping to catch a good bite this early afternoon.
First day on the water, South Holston, staying at the South Holston River Lodge. They just let the water go, it's starting to come up. Can't wait to get in this boat and try to take it to George Daniels.
Fishing with a guy is always an experience. So excited, yes. Optimistic, maybe. Scared, maybe even more so, yes.
Biggest fish. Today, biggest fish.
Okay.
I win biggest fish. I get 20 of your best streamers.
Okay. And what happens if I get the biggest fish?
You pick the next trip.
Deal.
Deal. Catching fish, now I just need some big ones. And anybody who knows George Daniel knows he's a pretty good fly fisherman. So the goal today is to catch a bigger fish.
We'll see about that. It's always good to be out here with Guy. Guy's a good friend. We can call this team Murray and Daniel. That's what we're going to call this. So if one of us catches a big fish, we're going to be psyched for the other one. But no, the whole experience here is being able to come down here, spend some time with Guy, spend some time with John and his operations, and just kind of learn this water. What we're going to be doing today is something that's different for me, and we're fishing what they call a drop shot rig, where we're actually using a lot of split shot on the bottom, basically on the tag end of our fly to get everything down. We're fishing 2 small nymphs along with an indicator. So we got some big water today, and I'm going to think outside the box and basically move outside my comfort zone and work on some strategies and techniques that we're not used to or accustomed to fishing back home. So this is great. We're playing with some new techniques and hopefully open up some different avenues for us.
I had never used the bottom bounce the way we did it here. I did fish it before on a smaller stream. It didn't really work out too well for me, but I'd like to play with things and see what I can come up with. The thing I like about fly fishing is you don't have to be an expert or a 2-time national champion like George to really get out and enjoy it. I mean, you could be a beginner. You know, I caught my first fish on a fly by accident. I think I want to be out 6 feet first. No, I don't.
You're on. You don't need to be anywhere but right there.
Is that my cell phone ringing? Is that Team USA?
No. The dredger is producing. He likes to rub it in, whether he's catching 1 fish more or even 10 fish more. He likes to bust your balls as much as possible. So it's good humor, and I understand Guy's philosophy on life, and he's just, when he's doing well, he wants everyone else to know about it.
George, this is definitely the biggest fish of the day right here.
Right here?
Yeah, got to be at least 18 inches. Whoa! You see it? Might have been
fish.
20.
Might have been 20?
So George's big fish on day 1 was it was a devastating blow. I mean, I love seeing George catch fish, and especially he worked that streamer all day. And he was catching some fish, but not that big one he was after. We had a tie going late into the evening, and this is we're just getting ready to wrap up. Boom! There it is. And all of a sudden, boom! There it is. He's got that big fish on, and I'm like, ah, there go my streamers. And I really did think, even though he was throwing that streamer, that I could get into a bigger fish, but it wasn't too big.
Oh, this is just amazing. Stuck to the streamer game, stubborn, but stuck with it, and it paid off. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh man, that's all I came here for, just one big grab. That's all I wanted. Ah.
Living on the fly. We'll be right back.
This is Living on the Fly.
End of the day, we're just about ready to get off the water, and George comes up with a 20-inch fish on that streamer. Didn't catch anything all day. And bang, he gets that big boy right as we're getting off the water. Not today. Today I'm taking the big fish.
I'm still going to be going, I think, big risk, big reward. I'm going to chance it. We're going to go, I'm going to still do some bottom bouncing, but instead with brighter streamers, I'm going to go with a little more mild tone streamer. Bottom bouncing by Rick Strollis. Right now, yesterday, with that bright sun, as I expect it will be today, fish are not really lifting off the bottom. So instead of kind of swimming my streamer a little higher in the column, I'm going to start off really with a 350 grain line, shorter leader, but really kind of dredge the bottom with the streamer. I'm hoping to take the cake again and claim the biggest fish of the day.
Yeah,
second day in a row.
I'm going to go numbers again. I'm going to stay underneath for the better part of the day, try to pick up the numbers and get that big fish off the bottom that way. Also hoping to see some rising fish. Maybe I can spot a real good one and put a fly on his nose. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, the dry fly fishing it was just spectacular. The bugs in the air and the fish heads popping up out of the water. And it's a little more difficult fly fishing here because when the boat's swinging and the river's moving and the fish are moving, trying to make that cast at some distance can be difficult. But it was great. We were catching fish. We were both catching fish, and I just think for me, that's the most exciting thing, is to see that fish take that fly back under and set the hook. To me, that's the best part of fly fishing. That's brown, just caught him on top, and that puts me in the lead.
For now.
For now.
Nice fish, guy.
Thank you. Now the pressure's on, George.
Pressure's
You
always
better
on.
get that streamer working. Try to get the big fish again today.
We still got about 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, it's a long day, that's true.
We're a day and a half into our trip, and so far we've used almost every conceivable technique. We've had some good dry fly fishing with some sulfurs, using longer leaders, fine tippets, some sulfur emergers, and then we've been doing some bottom dredging with nymphs, with a big balloon indicator or a big foam indicator. And then also we've been doing some streamer fishing, trying to hunt some bigger fish. And we're successful last night, getting one right before the boat dock. So the cool thing about this trip so far is that we've actually used 3 techniques, and as the conditions change, we're just playing around with different techniques that kind of hope to match the conditions. One of the things about the differences between Guy and I, he's just a happy-go-lucky guy. He's not as much of a technical guy, I guess you could say, as I am. Where I am, a little more focused, maybe to the point where I overanalyze things, to the point of just looking at every insect, looking at current seams, and sometimes maybe doing a little bit too much thinking, where a guy kind of just goes out. He does read the water, but he just goes out and he just starts casting, he starts fishing. And I think sometimes the analysis, the over-analysis is sometimes too much, where you can actually think too much about fly fishing to the point where you're not actually doing, you're just thinking. And then there are times like Guy, you know, he is very good, you know, he's relaxed and he just does the job that's needed. Or as I am on sometimes, I have a tendency of overthinking my strategy a little too much.
Living on the Fly. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Living on the Fly.
The low water this morning was the most fun of the trip for me, even though I wasn't throwing dries. I was down probably 50 yards below George, and I got over top of fish that were just hammering this nymph. And you know, it was a good couple hours of, "Hey George! Hey George! USA Fly Fishing's calling! Hey George!" You know, he's down there, he's catching fish, but you know, he's not having the kind of fun I am yelling, "Hey George!" "Look, George, got another one! George, look! Look at me battle this beast!" Team USA. Another one. Fish on! George, you're just losing ground like crazy. Holy cow, I can't miss them. Another one. I wish this was a qualifier. Jeez, oh man, George. I'm on fire, bro. So it was just great. I caught a lot of fish this morning. I definitely won the numbers game.
It's good humor, and I understand Guy's philosophy on life, and he's just, when he's doing well, he wants everyone else to know about it. You could look in there, you know, just pods of little rainbows, but obviously behind the little drop-offs and little cuts in the bedrock were a couple bigger fish. And eventually, we worked our way through some of those smaller fish, and we got into a nice fish. I think it was a little over 20, maybe 21 inches. And we got in a little zebra midge, just fishing on a light tippet, on a little midgicator and tiny little flies. I've never really taken a big fish, so to speak, on such small tackle, 6.5X tippet on like a size 22 nymph, but it was a big surprise to me. You know, big fish don't always eat big flies, and bigger fish, you know, are about energy consumption. Sometimes it may be just as easy for them to eat a bunch of smaller midges or move in and out of the water column, sucking down smaller midges than trying to chase down larger food items. So for me, that was reassuring that, you know, you don't always have to throw big flies to catch big fish.
Watch George fish a streamer we get in the boat. It's 8 hours of exactly the same motion, exactly the same cast. He's just like a robot fishing that streamer. He never slows down, he never stops. And I really did think, even though he was throwing that streamer, that I could get into a bigger fish and at least one of the days get that bigger fish. But it wasn't to be.
Living on the Fly is about two guys basically, literally living on the fly, to the point where we're using fly fishing as a spontaneous tool to take us to locations that we may not think about in the next week.
The Living on the Fly is Well, really, it's just about the two of us being spontaneous and going and doing some fishing.
People fish the same river day in and day out. And with this show, Living on the Fly, it's about two guys getting outside that routine and spontaneously deciding different locations, different people to fish with, to learn from, and also gain different experiences.
The deeper meaning behind that is, just appreciating the fact that we can do it and that we can enjoy each other's company and that we can get out on the stream. And really, I think we try to bring things to each other in this relationship. And one of the things I'd like to do with George is see him be able to be more spontaneous and to be able to just go fish and enjoy it and do it for fun. He's an incredible fisherman, and just to be able to look up at me and make fun, and just to be able to go do it because we can. I hear George talk about me to other people, and he'll tell them that I'm the successful business guy, and I think it's quite the opposite. George has managed to make a living out of fly fishing, doing something he loves and I love. And so for me, the adventure is going to be, I'm going to be fishing with one of the best fly fishermen in the world. I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know how we're fishing, but I can tell you it's going to be exciting and it's going to be an adventure for me.